Imagine strolling up to an ATM, your intentions pure and your character untainted, only to stumble upon a flaw that could either be a moral dilemma or a golden opportunity. Meet Dan Saunders, the man who became a millionaire due to a bank glitch. This event changed the course of his life in ways he never foresaw. This is the story of the man who smartly used a bank glitch to become a millionaire. It was the year 2011, and the setting was Australia, a land of vibrant cities and sprawling landscapes. Dan, a resident of Melbourne, found himself entangled in the rhythm of life, working amidst the glitz and glamour of a casino. Fate led him to the woman who would become his fiancée, who lived in a smaller town called Wangara. Driven by love, Dan followed her, embarking on a journey that would shape his destiny. In Wangara, a city where community thrived amidst its modest population, Dan sought a means to sustain himself. From odd jobs as a cleaner to serving tables as a waiter, he navigated through the ebbs and flows of employment until he found solace in a job at a local pub. It was here, amidst the clinking glasses and laughter, that Dan's tale of fortune and folly began to unfold. On a fateful evening, after the last patron had bid farewell and the pub doors closed behind them, Dan found himself yearning for more. Accompanied by his friend Mark, he ventured into the night, seeking refuge in the warmth of a nearby bar. As the night grew deeper and the hour hand edged closer to midnight, Mark bid his adieus, leaving Dan to his own devices. Alone yet undeterred, Dan's thirst for revelry led him to an ATM, its luminous screen beckoning amidst the nocturnal silence. With a wallet barren of funds and a friend departed, Dan faced a crossroads. Summoning his trusty savings card, he attempted to withdraw, only to be met with the sting of emptiness. Undeterred, he turned to his credit card, its limit teetering on the edge of exhaustion. With a reckless abandon born of inebriation, he attempted a transfer, a mere $200 from credit to savings. In the haze of the night, Dan's actions defied logic, yet fate smiled upon him as the machine dispensed cash without question. It was a moment of serendipity, a glitch in the matrix that bestowed upon him unexpected wealth. Oblivious to the ramifications, Dan seized the opportunity, indulging in the spoils of his newfound fortune until the early hours beckoned him homeward. As dawn broke and reality pierced through the fog of intoxication, Dan found himself confronted with the consequences of his actions. Despite the absence of any immediate repercussions, the weight of guilt gnawed at his conscience. With a sense of unease, he ventured to check his accounts, only to be met with a revelation both puzzling and alarming. The funds he had withdrawn, once a boon, now morphed into a burden as his savings account plunged into negative territory. The system, like a silent sentinel, had corrected itself, leaving Dan in a precarious position. Yet, amidst the chaos, a glimmer of opportunity emerged, a chance to defy fate once more. Driven by curiosity and a hint of desperation, Dan embarked on a journey of discovery, seeking to unravel the mystery behind the glitch. With a keen mind and a determination bordering on obsession, he dissected each step, each transaction, until clarity dawned upon him. But before we go further with the story, please take a moment to like this video if you want to know every little detail of Dan Saunders' bank glitch scam. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to never miss a video. Now let's go on with the story. Armed with newfound knowledge, Dan embarked on a daring gambit, a midnight rendezvous with destiny. With precision born of practice, he executed a plan that bordered on audacity, transferring funds from credit to savings with seamless efficiency. In a matter of moments, his debt dissipated, evaporating like morning mist beneath the sun's warm embrace. Certainly, Dan was aware that the system would likely catch up later and return his account balance to a negative $2,000. However, he wanted to try withdrawing money again by transferring $2,000 from his credit card account to the savings account. Although he received an error message during the transaction, when he checked the savings account, the balance showed $2,000. He withdrew this amount, and the balance in the savings account returned to zero. Dan returned home with $2,000 in his pocket, even though his account balance was currently zero. He knew the system would likely correct itself, but he wanted to know when this correction would happen. After sleeping that night, Dan woke up the next morning and immediately called the bank to request a statement of his account balance, which was still zero. Throughout the day, he kept calling the bank, always receiving the same result of a zero balance. The next morning, at 6 a.m., he called the bank again, and suddenly the change occurred. The balance became $4,000. This indicated that the system had corrected all the withdrawals he made and reversed them. Now, one might think this process is not useful because the bank's automated system would eventually freeze his account if it reached a significant negative amount, such as negative $20,000. However, this correction took more than a whole day, over 24 hours. This was the glitch Dan took advantage of. Dan theorized that the bank's ATM, after 12 a.m., went into standby mode, disconnecting itself from the main banking system. During this time, from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m., the ATM machine remained disconnected, allowing money to be transferred from the credit card account to the savings account. This glitch shouldn't have occurred, but it did. To exploit this glitch, Dan had to transfer money every night between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. He must never miss a night and transfer double the amount he withdrew the previous night. For instance, if he withdrew $10,000 tonight, the next night, he would have to transfer $20,000 to compensate for the previous night's withdrawal. This pattern continued, with the total amount to be transferred every night accumulating. Dan had to adhere strictly to this schedule and rule to continue benefiting from the glitch without raising suspicion. Any deviation from the routine could result in detection and potential consequences. He also realized he could perform this trick from any ATM machine owned by National Australia Bank. Initially feeling guilty, Dan rationalized his actions, believing he was taking money from an institution that stole from people. He kept this secret from everyone, even his fiancée. However, his addiction to gambling led to significant losses, and eventually, he was exposed when the betting website closed his account and the bar owner fired him. Dan's life spiraled downward, with his fiancée breaking up with him and his financial situation worsening. Despite his newfound wealth, he lost everything, illustrating the consequences of exploiting a glitch for personal gain. Dan's third withdrawal was a pivotal moment. This time, he opted for a significant sum, $100,000. As he waited for the transaction to complete, anxiety gripped him. The banker's prolonged absence, seemingly seeking manager approval, fueled Dan's fear of discovery. He envisioned police intervention, his heart racing with apprehension. When the banker finally returned with the full amount in cash, relief washed over Dan, yet a lingering paranoia persisted. Despite newfound freedom to withdraw any sum directly from the bank, Dan remained convinced of imminent exposure. The specter of arrest loomed, a constant reminder of his precarious situation. Determined to make the most of his ill-gotten gains, Dan summoned his friends for an extravagant escapade in Melbourne. Promising luxury beyond their wildest dreams, he shared his spoils with them, indulging in opulence and extravagance. While some friends relished the newfound wealth, others remained oblivious to the glitch's details, content to bask in carefree revelry. Together, they lived lavishly, exploring the city's finest establishments and hosting elaborate parties. Dan spared no expense, embracing generosity as he navigated his surreal existence. Yet, beneath the veneer of affluence, Dan grappled with guilt and apprehension. His lavish spending masked inner turmoil, a constant reminder of his impending reckoning. Despite fleeting moments of joy, anxiety gnawed at him, driving him to alcohol as a temporary escape. As months passed, Dan's fear intensified. Anticipating imminent arrest, he sought solace in the anonymity of small-town life. However, the specter of impending doom lingered, a constant reminder of his transgressions. With each passing day, he awaited the inevitable, bracing himself for the consequences of his actions. Desperate for resolution, Dan turned to the media, hoping to force the bank's hand. Yet, even as his story reached millions, the bank remained silent, refusing to acknowledge his plight. Frustration mounted as Dan grappled with the realization that his fate lay in limbo, trapped between freedom and incarceration. In a cruel twist, Dan's attempt to garner attention led to his downfall. Exploited by a sensationalist television program, he found himself ensnared in a web of deceit. Betrayed by those he trusted, He faced arrest without due process, a pawn in someone else's narrative. As Dan languished in jail, his story captivated the public imagination. From interviews to documentaries, his tale became a cautionary tale of hubris and greed. Yet, amid the scrutiny and speculation, the true extent of his wealth remained a mystery, shrouded in secrecy and speculation. Although it is said that the withdrawn amount could be even more than $1.6 million. In the tale of Dan Saunders, a glitch in the banking system transformed his life, offering wealth but ensnaring him in a web of deceit and consequences. As he grappled with guilt and paranoia, Dan's story serves as a cautionary tale of unchecked ambition and the fragility of ill-gotten gains. This was the remarkable story of the man who became a millionaire due to a bank glitch. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Also take a look at our channel because there will be more videos that you will find interesting.